Hi, welcome back to the Jac and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
I'm her husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification. You don't miss any of our reviews. We're at Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode number 8. Episode 8, we're getting in the swing of things of couples who are... They're living in their apartments, and we have...
Supposedly.
Supposedly, yeah. Let's say supposedly, because we find out there's a couple who's not living together.
That's what we've concluded.
That's what we concluded. And so now tonight's the night where friends get to come over, the family get to come over, and they get to have conversations and interact with each other. So where we want to get started today.
Jose and Rachel.
Jose and Rachel. Let's get started with Jose and Rachel. Let's go.
Yeah. Because we feel like they was pretty smooth this episode. You know, not a lot going on with them.
It's always the same issue with them.
Yeah. Issue.
It's an issue.
Well, the same thing.
Same problem.
Yeah.
Situation.
But anyway.
Circumstance.
We start with, obviously they're getting into the groove of regular life.
Mm-hmm.
And before, Jose talked about how all her 50 million alarms woke him up early.
Yeah.
And so we see Rachel heading out to the gym. She says she wakes up earlier than Jose, and she's been going to the gym earlier because she wants to spend her afternoons with him.
Yeah, spend afternoons with him, and she want to maintain that weight loss. Remember, she lost 35 pounds, so she doesn't want to gain that back, so she's willing to commit and sacrifice for her weight loss and for a relationship with her husband.
Oh, I was going to say, but it's more so, it's not that she's not going to the gym. She said, but she's going earlier, where she sounds like she probably would have went in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Work schedules and things, and sometimes in marriages you have to change up so you can spend that quality time together.
Yeah. And this episode, like you said, it's about the housewarmings and, being with their friends and family. And so they're getting ready for the housewarming. And so they go pick up some, they're going to pick up some plants.
Yeah.
Which the plants end up being herbs.
And lettuce.
Yeah, food stuff. He said it like they were going to get plants, like to decorate the apartment, like flowers. But they looked at cilantro. They looked at lettuce.
Thyme.
They looked at thyme. I was like, oh, okay, those kind of plants. And she talked about the fact that she was like, she's not a very good plant mother. She kills plants. She was like, even succulents where you don't have to do anything with. She said she killed the succulent. I don't know how do you do that?
I don't know.
But anyway,
know.
she's not a good plant mother. But the point is, she's like, looking at what about this and that, and it's like he's like whatever, but he still got in his mind that I want this, that, and the other, because some things she suggested, he was like, nah.
Not a good texture.
So she's like, he has in his mind what he wants, and that's the way he goes.
But what he's trying to do is trying to give her a voice, because she's always talking about him being controlling and being in charge. So by him saying, you know what, whatever you want, he's trying to downplay him being in charge and letting her have a voice. Yeah. That's what that's what
it didn't happen like that.
This is what we guys say and we try to do, but most times it don't happen. It didn't happen with him.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
Because he ended up picking what he wanted to pick, and she was just there. But they had a good time.
Yeah, I think she decided on the lettuce.
Yeah, but
anyway,
we're gonna grow lettuce. I mean, if I'm gonna pluck lettuce out of a garden or at a garden shop, I'm taking that bad boy home, wash it off, we're about to have a salad or fix something. I'm not gonna keep it in a rack. I mean, but again, he had each his own.
So for the housewarming, I do want to say briefly, when the guys met up or whatever, they talked about the housewarming, and so Jose is like, I'm Latino, I'm going full fiesta. That's what we doing.
We're doing fiesta,
no, you should know this. I'm doing it fiesta style.
We're doing fiesta style.
And so for the housewarming, his dad comes over and his stepmom, and then her friends Elia and Danilo.
Yes.
Or Danilo. Yes, only one L. Danilo. And so they talk about, how is it going? And they were like, we had a good honeymoon, we get along so well. Danilo's like, well, are there any differences you noticed? Because Jose and Rachel, they said the same thing. It's been like smooth sailing. Never thought I'd be feeling somebody.
Easy like Sunday morning.
That easy, yeah. And so Danilo says, what's the differences? And Jose's like, only really thing I see is finances. Mm-hmm. And he says, what's the biggest reason why marriages don't work out is finances. And I don't want that to be an issue with us. So we're talking about it and we're trying to get it settled and figure out what we're going to do. And he talks again about having the one bank account, the joint bank account, and I'm paying the bills with this, and then whatever's left. He did change it this time. He didn't say, you could work with what's left. He was like, then we can do other stuff with what's left. But first and foremost, we're going to pay these bills.
Like I said on our Matrimony Thoughts podcast, which you can look at it right here. Click the link up above. You can check it out. But, it's, again, what you have to do. We put all the money together. We make a decision. And then we roll out that way. He is mature in his finances, and she's immature. So let's work with the maturity status. And everybody says this, and she said it again. I don't want to feel like I'm not having fun or enjoying life, but you want to do it broke?
Yes.
But when you take trips on credit cards and you ain't got the money for it, you're doing it broke. Because at the end of the day, you come back and you got to work so hard or do whatever to pay off the credit card. And not to mention, if you don't pay your credit card off in full, and we get to this when we talk about Milra, if you don't pay it off in full, the interest is eating you up.
People are concerned about instant gratification. I will cross the bridge when I get to it, when I got to pay the bill. It's about instant, and I'm not saying it's right, but that's what it is. It's instant gratification. I want to go on this trip now, and I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, and I have to pay for it. And you feel this thing, just for example, and we're going to go on, but people do this all the time. You hear people do this with like Christmases and birthdays. So you ball out for Christmas, and then January, February, that bill is due, and you like, oh snap.
But it's not. It's poor planning. It's not like Christmas.
Oh yeah.
It's not like Christmas gets shifted every year. It's not like that birthday gets shifted every year. You got 365 days to plan for Christmas. 365 days to plan for somebody's birthday. Set a budget on how much you want to spend, and plan accordingly.
Everything I want to get for Christmas is not on sale. 365. I'm playing, the advocate. That's how they do. So they want to wait for Black Friday. But, okay, it's a month away from Christmas.
Then save for 11 months and then go buy yourself on Black Friday. Give yourself a budget. Again, it's the lack of this. That's why we are a nation and so far in debt, because people want instant gratification and they don't want to live with discipline. Not saying that if you can sacrifice now, you can have what you want later and be like, and do what you want to do, not own anybody anything.
Yeah. So, but Rachel's thing is, she wants to have fun, and she wants to do her traveling. And the one thing that I was like, that Jose said, that I was like, oh wow, okay. So he was like, I wasn't out traveling, hanging out with my friends and doing all this BS. I was like, ooh. Wow, okay.
Because he was doing...
Because he said, I was preparing for marriage. I've been preparing for the day when I got married, when I had kids. I wasn't wasting my life away. It's what it came across. And you can see her face was kind of like, ooh.
But look at it from this perspective, right? He prepared, and now she's reaping the benefits of what he prepared for. If they stay married, he's prepared and got himself together. She's reaping the benefit, if they stay married, of the houses, the finances, and all that, because he prepared. If both of them were living reckless, she wouldn't want to marry that. Living from paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
Living from, not having enough, having more month than money. Those type of things. But he prepared for the long game. It's a long game to be financially wealthy. It's not a short man's game.
Right. So like I said, she looked bothered by his comments, and then when she goes to talk to his stepmom and her friend Elia, she says, my thing is, I don't want to be restricted. He has the thinking that I'm going to just blow all the money, and her feeling is that you going to be so restrictive, like that I can't even get a pack of Skittles, if I want a snack, and so the funny thing is, his stepmom is like, that's right, I understand what you're saying, don't give up your control, don't let her, and I was like, ooh, I wonder how it works with her and Big Jose.
It's not giving up control, it is working within the boundaries of what your marriage is set. And so for you set the boundaries what's comfortable for you guys. So it's not being is it kind of, if you want to say restricted, yeah, it's restricted, but it's boundaries. There's a financial place that you want to go. And you know, if she wants to be fine not having money or retirement at the age of 65, 70, whatever when she retired, because she took all these trips and not having retirement and got to continue to work past her glory years, fine. But he's planning for the future. And I think that's what people don't understand. And she doesn't understand it because she's, you know, whatever.
She ain't ready.
She ain't ready. She ain't ready for the grown woman stuff.
Well, not for that, yeah.
Not for the finances, but again, he doesn't want this marriage to end because of finances, because they're going so well. And so he's trying to help eliminate that, you know, so.
Yeah, so pretty much that's it with Rachel and Jose. Obviously, the finance conversation.
It's going to keep coming up.
It's going to, yeah, it is.
It's going to keep coming up, and I think it's going to end up eventually be their downfall.
Somewhere or another, I'm telling you, in her parents' relationship or a past relationship she had, she dealt with something with control. And that's really, and I understand where she's coming from. You know, when you've been grown, like they're 30 something.
Yeah.
I've been independent. Well, I know it didn't come from her dad because so maybe her dad saw it from his mom. You know, they are Latino. She's Latina, and you know, is very masculine driven and man head of the house, that, you know, type of thing. So maybe the dad saw that with his mom because she said her dad taught her. So, but somewhere or another, that's really striking a chord with her. It's like, nah,
Yeah, I mean, I think she and this last point I'm gonna make of her, I think she wants everything, but not willing to put in the work in this area to get everything that she wants. I will take off putting a trip off in Europe for putting $3,000 on a credit card to be able to take a trip to Europe for $3,000, enjoy what I want, and come back home and not feel like I have to work extra to make up for the trip that I just went on. And so, again, he didn't say we're not going to take trips. Let's do trips in moderation, and let's play for it, and let's plan it out and pay for it in cash. But they got to work on that finance. And then Married at First Sight really needs a financial therapist to come through to help these people with their finances.
Yeah, but I guess if it's like, why, unless the end game is for y'all to be together, like, it ain't no.
But you got a sex therapist, a relationship therapist.
Because 9 times out of 10 they're gonna get into that before they.
But no, but money, as Jose said, and we mentioned in other podcasts, that financial issues cause a lot of divorce in marriage. It's PMS. It's either a power issue, either the money issue, or the sexual issue. PMS destroy marriages.
Oh, trust me, I understand that, but it's like, for real, even the kid conversation. I understand having the kid conversation. I really do. But I'm not having no real deep kid conversation with you unless I know at the end of this 8 weeks, and then even when we come back for the reunion, that we together. Then we can talk about that. That's what I'm saying. I think they probably don't focus on that because obviously the relationship, the sexual thing, that's going to happen because it's about attraction.
Right. In
them 8 weeks. You know, being attracted to somebody, which is always when you get in a relationship. You start with the attraction, the physical, maybe the sexual, and then everything else comes, and you know, you get deep into that later when you know it's serious and it's going to last. So I think that's probably why they don't do it at that point, because it's like, why are we talking about y'all might not even put your bank accounts together.
True. I get it, but I think the conversation,
just like we talked about with Derek and Katie, how I was like, why are you putting her on your insurance when you ain't even made it to the 8 weeks? I'm not putting nobody on my health insurance that I know ain't going to stay around. Because I'm going to have to go through quite a bit to get them off.
Yep.
But anyway, next. Kind of smooth sailing couple, Brett and Ryan.
Yeah.
Talk about them.
Easy flow.
Yeah. We see Ryan at the gym with his friend Fernando. And he said he's looking forward to talking to Fernando because he's been in a serious relationship for a while. And he's also a new dad. And so they talk about it. Fernando's like, what's been going on? He says, you know, it's just been a lot of high stress going on. Mm-hmm. You know, they've been developing a friendship. Right. You know, he feels like right now it's been a friend thing so far. The one thing he noticed with her is everything is high anxiety. he told Fernando about she spazzed. She don't fly a lot. She spazzed on the plane trip. When we did the kayaking.
That footage.
Right. When we did the kayaking, she spazzed about the manatee.
Yeah.
You know, she's really like not trying to do new stuff. Like it makes her anxious. And he's like, that's the part I'm just like, I don't know. But she talks to her friend Christine, and she says same thing as Ryan. It's been going well. She talks about the kayaking thing. She's like, you know, basically he's got me doing things that I wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. And I really kind of just did it for him. I wouldn't do it on my own. Like, Christine's like, well, would you go kayaking? She said, I wouldn't on my own. If he wants to, sure.
Yeah.
If it's some things that he wants to do, he's more adventurous. I'll do it because I'm trying to be more adventurous with him. But by myself, nah.
But that's what you do as a husband or wife. You compromise. And you do with things that your husband or your wife will like you to do. Because, again, it's not about them having control. It's about us spending quality time together. And if it means quality time means that we need to go do something adventurous that I have not done. And I mentioned before, you saw it with Deanna and Greg. And we saw it even with Henry and Christine. When they was in New Orleans, when he didn't experience his best trip was going to like Philadelphia or Virginia, whatever case may be. But it's all the adventure stuff that he did. So when you're a spouse and you're with each other, you do different things. So
yeah, the one thing that Ryan and Fernando talked about is like, you know, how's the attraction? You know, is it sexual? And you know, Ryan's like, no, it hasn't been sexual yet. You know.
We haven't gotten
no sex. But we've been real affectionate, you know, holding hands and cuddling, and we sleeping in a bed with each other every night. And Fernando's like, well, shoot, you know,
you're doing better than most.
That's a step, you know. And Brett tells her friend the same thing. There's attraction there, and she's pretty sure he feels the same way she does, and that the attraction and the affection that is growing. Yeah. And they both kind of agree, you know, it's growing. We'll get there.
And they're taking their time. They're going at this nice steady pace. So that's nothing to knock.
And so then we see them have their housewarming. So we see Brett's friends, Brandy and Deborah, come by. And then we see Ryan's friends, Garrett and Aaron Beth. And I think my conclusion is, I think they said this, Garrett and Aaron Beth are married.
Yes.
Because she said something about that later.
Because he asked about all the rings in the room. And I think her friends are married as well.
Yeah. And they said all of their friends are married. And they're like veterans in the marriage game. All right. So they asked Brett the question, okay, do you feel like there was one that got away? And she was like, no, there's not one that got away. I'm the one that got away.
I'm the one.
Like, y'all, these dudes missed the prize with me.
Yeah.
So no, I don't feel like there's somebody, oh my gosh, I
love her confidence. I like Brett's confidence. I really think her confidence in her, she's comfortable in herself, and the confidence that she has in what she can bring to the table with Ryan. I think she's very confident. I think she is, you know, that fiery, not natural redhead, but she's fiery redhead.
Yeah. I think she's a redhead. She's not that red.
Not that red. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Brandy asks Ryan, like, what is it you want to know about Brett that you don't know? And he says, you know, we talk so much. We've seen this before. We talk so much that I feel like I know everything about her. And he said the one thing is, it's not normal for him to talk as much as he has with her. But, you know, he's like, I think I could probably tell you just about anything.
And he's feel comfortable. I mean, which they're making each other feel comfortable. And I think they're doing it right now. They're doing it right by getting to know each other, having that communication, and they having intimacy. You know, they're not having sex, but they're having intimacy. Unlike when we were back to season 10, last year's season 12, last year's season, where you saw Haley and Jake, they had sex and they communicated, but there was no intimacy.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, so, just the talking a lot does not equal intimacy.
No, it doesn't equal.
It doesn't equal getting closer to somebody. But we see Aaron Beth talking to Brett, and she says, has there been any point where you felt like you kind of had to pull back on what you want to say to Brett? And Brett's like, you know, we haven't gotten to that tender place. She said, I know it's there, but we haven't gotten to the place where I feel like, ooh, this might hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
Like she hasn't really gotten to his feelings like that. You about to say something?
Oh yeah, I was about to say I was gonna make a joke, so I talk about his dog, but I'm not gonna.
Right, don't do that.
No, yeah, don't do that.
Deborah asks Aaron Beth because she knows Ryan. Like, well, do you have some suggestions?
You got congestion, you coughing, you sick?
Right.
You need some medicine or something? Anyway, leave it alone.
Do you have some suggestions of like how to pull it out of him? And Aaron Beth says, you know what? I can't talk, see, because I'm normally the person that gets on him about tearing up words. So now it's my turn. I get it. It's okay. But anyway, she said, just be honest and gentle with Ryan. You know, see who each other are, respect who each other is, and realize it's not necessarily what you expected. But, you know, just operate where you are, whatever. And Aaron Beth says, you know, you could be friends. I feel like you should be friends first. You set that groundwork. And Brett agrees with that. But my only concern is that I feel like Ryan's afraid to get stuck in just the friendship. Like, we won't get past that.
Yeah. And you don't want to get in the friend zone. You don't want to be stuck in that friend zone. You want to be able to move out of that. And I do see them moving out of that area. I do see them getting intimate. I do see them getting closer. I do see them having a successful relationship down the line. So
yeah. And so Brett's big thing is I just want to know his feelings about me. I want to hear it from his mouth. I want to hear, you know, his feelings.
And that's the key there, because we saw this in last season with Claire, and I don't know how much you can take it for a grain of salt right now with that relationship. But she also wanted to hear, not that she wanted to hear I love you. And I'm not talking about Ryan saying I love you, but sometimes you have to be able to express it verbally. You know, you can do all the touching, feely, put it on the hands and do all that. But some people want to hear the affirmation verbally. And I think that's the key, that when you give them verbal affirmation, I like your hair, I like you, I like what you have on, you know, you look nice, or you treat me well, or things like that, really boost a person's self-esteem up, their confidence up, and it tears down some walls and allow them to feel more comfortable and vulnerable with you, because you're sharing those words. And it's not just words, but it's really based off your feelings and your actions. And I think that's where Brett wants, and she wants to hear it from him and not just see it.
Yeah, because again, Ryan said that even when he met with the guys, it was like, you know, she's cool. It feels like I'm dating a friend. And Brett says, you know, I just want to, you know, get to where we can like each other. But anyway, so her friends, when they talk to Ryan, let him know, you know, just be more open with how you feel than you have been. You're gonna have to share how you feel with Brett. And if you're more open, she'll feel more free to share. Not that she doesn't feel that way, but if she knows that you're feeling the same way, she'll feel more apt. She'll be more apt to say, okay, yeah, I like you too. Because she's not going to want to put herself out there to get her feelings hurt. Nobody's going to do that. So.
While we talk, you mentioned the breakouts, breakout sessions with the women and men. I'm gonna say breakout session. I'm gonna say I fixed myself there, right? Don't come after me. Don't come after me today. No, breakout session. I know this ain't a Zoom meeting, so I can't say breakout groups. All right, y'all. I do a lot with
much Zooming.
I do a lot with technology and Zoom and all this stuff. So breakout session, not groups. The breakout session with the men. And breakout session with the women. All right, let's talk about those. The women met together. To me, it seemed like they was in their apartment lobby or somewhere in their apartment, where it's down in there. And all 5 women met together, because this is the first time they actually all met up since the bridal party.
Yeah, because Michaela wasn't on the honeymoon.
Right, Michaela wasn't on the honeymoon, so she got sent back. So this was the opportunity for them to get information about Michaela. That, you know, I think forgot who asked, you know, how's Zach doing, how you guys are doing, and she was able to share with them what's going on. She did not share that they had an argument or a situation, but she was willing to share that, you know, they're doing fine.
Right. Is that all you want to say about the breakout session?
No, I'm gonna get into it more, but we're gonna stay there because I want to talk about even how, you know, when Michaela lied about who has been sexual.
Right.
And she really got into the whole lie and, you know, gave it the thumbs down. Like, at least tell people, like, I know you're not feeling Zach right now, but don't lie. Or it not even. I don't think it's because she's not feeling him. I don't. She don't think she want people in their business.
Right, and I think she probably doesn't want to be judged. Like, oh gosh, really?
Yeah, but somebody
because they kind of hit Zach with that. You know, when they talk about the have anybody consummated? And Zach was like, well, Michaela would be so mad if I said this, but yeah, we did.
We did.
And they was like, in 2 days, like you wasn't even on the honeymoon, like. Yeah. Already 2 days, and so I think she didn't say that because she didn't want that kind of response, because they absolutely gave it to Zach, and he was like, "Man, like go ahead."
She's like, "Wait till she see this." But even Rachel didn't say anything neither though. Rachel didn't say.
I don't think she had to, because they already betting on the fact that they have.
Yeah, but I mean, y'all.
Milra didn't put her thumbs down either. I think those two didn't have to answer because everybody knows.
I didn't know about Michaela, but anyway.
Huh?
Yeah,
no. What? They have no idea how deep their love went. How deep is your love?
I don't know use the word deep.
No, I'm just saying.
Oh.
You know what? He's cutting up today. But I'm saying those three answered because they remember before they said they already bet on Jose and Rachel.
Yeah.
That they did to do, and everybody knows that Milra ain't even kissed Gil, so we know.
Who was that? It was Brett that said she won $5.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She said her and Ryan had a bet on whether they had kissed, and Milra confirmed at the meetup that no, I still haven't. And she was like, word. She was like, I have bet on you. She thought I knew it. I knew it. I got $5.
Yeah, so the women's, they talked about the relationships and and how they're interacting and how they're going with each other. The men, on the other hand, they got a little bit deep, man. The brothers were like, Gil's like, look, this is what's going on with us. We're doing well. And then Johnny just couldn't get himself together.
He was a mess.
He was the mess from the get-go. If you really, from the beginning of the men meeting up, Johnny was sitting, you could tell that there was something on his mind. That he was not feeling bow, he's not feeling the situation. He was beating himself up. He was really struggling.
That's what I was going to say. I think the biggest thing more than anything is like he had the anticipations like, okay, so I know how me and Bow are going, and then I have to sit here and listen to the guys, and it's probably going good for them. He really says that later. It's like, that was his thing. It's like, to hear how well it's going for the other guys and to know I'm struggling. Mm-hmm. He was like, I don't know if I want to be married. Maybe I wasn't ready to be married.
I'm attracted to her, but she's not really my type. And then Ryan asked, what you mean by not your type? He's like, no, she's beautiful, but her personality-wise, it's not what he used to. He used to somebody with a little bit more personality, with a little bit more fire. And I'm not saying Bao doesn't have that, but it's not what
she's introverted.
She's introverted, and so
she's a nerd.
He used to an extrovert. He's an extroverted person. He wants an extroverted girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Or wife in this case. Sorry.
The one thing I will say is that Gil was very grounding in what he told him. It's like, you have to realize we're in this process that that's your type, that's what you went for, but obviously it must not have worked for you. And so again, you trust the experts that they're matching you up with what you need, not necessarily what you want. Yeah. And you're gonna have to get past that. And have you talked to her about it? Have you expressed this to her? Gil was very, and I expect that
mature.
from him. He was very grounding and spoke some good sense to Johnny. And even Jose was comforting to Johnny. I know a lot of y'all was like, why they hug like that?
A little comfort. He cried like somebody in church that just got the spirit. He cried, put his arm on his shoulder. Had the ugly cry face. And they were just hugging each other. And he was like, thank you, man. Thank you, bro. Again, Johnny couldn't get himself together. I'm not saying it's funny.
Yeah, Johnny was no, it's funny that why would you...
but that's how it is.
Talking about somebody
in church. You know how it is. Y'all go to church, just leave the altar and the missionary right there, and she just grab you, and all you just could do is cry. You could just cry. But, that's how he was. And I know some of y'all, talking about the way Jose hugged him. Leave that man alone.
He's shorter than he's shorter than Johnny. So Johnny's arms had to be up on his neck.
Had to go up. And some say it wasn't a hugging moment, but I'm just not hugging the dude in the bathroom.
It was, yeah, because Johnny got so upset he walked away from the table.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I don't know. Maybe I really wasn't ready to get into this process.
All jokes aside, you know, they're good friends. They're good friends because he said that they're like brothers, you know. And so Jose wants to be there for Johnny. He wants to comfort Johnny, and we all need a friend like that. We all need a friend who's willing to help out, because Jose was the only one that went to check on him too. And so that relationship there is a good friend relationship. We saw that in last season, where we saw what was it, Eric and Vince and them had a good relationship. Yeah, they were buddies. They talked about on the reunion how close their relationship were. They text every day and communicated. So you got to have that relationship, and somebody who's been in the same situation that you're in. You know, they're not on the level of Miles and Woody, but
they were friends when they came. But again, so Jose tells him, you know, you got to find out and see where is it that the experts matched us, and break your boundaries. Like, basically get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And, you know, Gil is saying it's going to take some time. You got to give yourself some time. Yeah, we got an 8-week process, but, you know, don't rush yourself.
Get out your own way.
You got to be patient. You have to try to be patient. Basically, like Gil is saying, like, I'm being patient with Mirla. This is not really what I'm used to. But everybody has to kind of exhibit some patience. And in that conversation, Zach is like, but what if it just don't work? And Gil was like, I mean, that could be what it is. It doesn't work. It might not work. But still, you got to put forth the effort to try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Zach is checked out already. He saw the red flag. He saw the cat as Michaela said on Unfiltered. He saw he saw category 3. She called it. She called it category 3, and he doesn't like it. And so he's like, I'm checked out already. And when we get to them, all his answers that he just checked out. He's done.
Yeah. So we might as well go ahead and talk about them. So, oh, Lord have mercy. My two favorite couples, they just let me down.
No, that's why you don't give up the goodies so quick.
Well, anyway, Michaela's, or I don't know if Michaela, anyway, Zach's energy has changed.
Totally.
It's obvious. You know, they still got issues to work out. He talks to his friend, Jerron, and he says, you know, I've seen some red flags over the past few days, you know, and he gives us a little intel that she came to the apartment. She said that on the episode. She came to the apartment because they were supposed to meet up with Pastor Cal. But what Zach tells Jerron is, after we met with Pastor Cal, she left. Like, she didn't stay. But we did talk on the phone after the fact, and we kind of reconciled and got past that issue. And
she said on Unfiltered that they didn't reconcile. They had like 2 or 3 sentences, and that was it. They didn't really talk about the issue, discuss the issue. It was 2 or 3 sentences, and so we have conflicting views of what happened. A
little bit, because actually Zach told Jerron, he was like, you know, I thought the conversation went well, but then an hour later, she texted me and said she wasn't going to do the housewarming. So I think it's a different view. It's like Michaela said, obviously they didn't resolve it and reconcile it, because then she wouldn't have been upset to the point where she was like, I don't want to do the housewarming.
But again, if she's mad and he's mad, why we're gonna put on a show?
Right.
Look, we mad. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it. You know, it's gonna be fun. It's not gonna be you over here, I'm over here, and we getting everybody involved in our business, and it's on camera, all this other stuff. So I understand her being upset, and I understand him being upset. And I understand her counseling a housewarming, because it doesn't make any sense. There ain't nothing warm about this house right now.
Right.
It is cold up in here, dog.
Yeah.
It is cold, ice cold.
But I like that Jerron puts it in perspective for Zach. It's like, you know, in a relationship, in a marriage, you're going to have some issues. You know, problems will arise, you know, he's like, I know Zach is not confrontational, but you have to confront these issues. And, you know, you have to really understand the reality. Basically, he's like, you know, Zach went into this with some fairy tale expectations, but it's not going to be that. The reality is it's not going to be that fairy tale. And so he has to be patient to get outside of what I thought it would be to what it actually is. And a lot of people do that when you go into marriage, relationships, period, but especially marriage. You have this fairy tale of what you think it will be. We're not going to argue. Everything's going to be all flowers, you know, a bed of roses. And it's not, because y'all are different people. And the other thing is, because you're different and you have differences of opinion, you have disagreements, doesn't mean you don't love them. Doesn't mean it can't work. You know what I'm saying?
People from different backgrounds, so you're different, and it's how you handle it. I think one of the biggest issues with Zach is that they had a conversation before about how we're gonna handle the issue, and she went totally opposite of what she said she does. And so now he feel like he can't trust her because you left, you bailed on us, you checked out, you moved on, and it was not that serious. You moved on something that wasn't that serious, and now I can't trust you. And so even though it might have been a trigger for her, or the abandonment issue, or whatever case may be, he has to understand that it was a trigger for her, and she got to understand that my husband doesn't want me to bail. I think when we first got married, we had that discussion prior to that. Like, look, if we mad at each other, let's not leave. We live in a nice sized house, or at the time, the townhouse we lived in, it was decent sized enough. Hey, you go upstairs, I go downstairs. And again, we're not leaving, all right? But we're going to deal with this at an appropriate time. And we ain't sleep on the couch. We put a barrier for it in front. I don't care, but we're not going to be apart. We're going to handle it when it's time to be handled.
I mean, you go to sleep on the couch, but not because you're mad.
Oh, you don't sleep with it. Well, that's a whole different podcast. I just have a belief, a house that we pay mortgage in, that I'm not sleeping on anybody's couch. That I'm going to sleep in bed. You just be in bed mad.
You ignore my point.
Turn your back. Oh, I sleep on the couch. I do. Sometimes I nod off. I drift. I drift on some Married at First Sight episodes, but it is what it is.
It's a full sleep. It ain't no drift. But anyway,
I'm tired, man. But anyway, again, we have see coming at me today.
Zach says he hasn't done well with confrontational girlfriends in the past.
Yeah.
And he said if it's gonna be that way, he said I ain't gonna be able to do it. And I just really have a problem with Zach. Like, bro, I understand. He says later it's a red flag for him. I understand that. But also you need to understand, guess what? This is a situation neither one of y'all have ever been in.
Yeah.
And obviously she says typically, what she said was, she said this on Unfiltered, you know, you have two responses, fight or flight. In that case, she said normally she would pick fight. That's what she said to them. But then when the rubber met the road, in this she was like, I opted for flight. Yeah. I did, and it's not necessarily right, but...
She opted for flight because there wasn't nobody there to fight with. And so she was like, well, I can't fight him. He ain't answering my calls, so let me bounce. He must not want me because he's not returning my calls. And that's where she picked up at. And she went from a tropical storm to a hurricane category 3 real quick. That, you know, like the storms that come out of nowhere.
And he's not trying to do it.
He's not trying to be in the storm. And he's not trying to do it. And that's the biggest issue. And then even when it got to the whole, when they began to reconcile or try to reconcile with each other, or that night when they had, I don't even want to call it a gathering or whatever case may be. When they,
anyway, she opted to still have the housewarming.
Yeah.
She said no, and then she turned around and said yes.
I wonder how much of that was production.
She said, I don't know. She said initially she wanted to cancel, but then she had to change her heart. And I guess you're saying you wonder how much that change of heart has to do with production.
I think a lot of that change of heart had to do with production.
Because, like you said, she didn't want to put on a show, but she had to change her heart anyway. So her friends Courtney and Janu come over, and they're talking and getting ready. Which, again, they ain't staying in the apartment. She did like all the setup for the housewarming, but I think part of that was too is he probably didn't come to set up the housewarming because you might change your mind again.
Yeah, and
he wasn't trying to do it.
It seemed like the apartment is empty and they're just traveling there to get to the apartment. Which
we find out later too. And so she's talking to her friends. She said it's been hard, but they're working to get better. The one thing she said is, you know, the issue, she really didn't get that much into them fussing and fighting at that point. But she said big thing is, he's a toothpaste crusher, you know. And, you know, her friend was like, well, you think you can change him? She's like, well, I'm not trying to change him. You know, we just work around that. And so then he comes and he brought his friend Jerron. And, you know, it's like he can't believe that that Michaela gets over stuff so fast. He can't get over it that fast. And that's probably, that's obviously been his problem with relationships. Anyway, sometimes you gotta let some stuff ride, bruh. You gotta let it ride. You have to get over it. And I mean, all in all, with the thing with them, he just cannot get over it. So he talks to her friends, and he said, it's been an adjustment for him. He's not used to outbursts. He's not used to that. Is that normal for her? And her friend Courtney was like, no, it's really not. It's really not. It's not normal for her. But keep in mind that this situation, just like I said, this situation is out of her comfort zone. It's not something she's done before. So the reaction is going to be different than normal because the situation is not normal.
Yeah, but friend lied. Because if it's not normal for her, how do we know about Hurricane K?
But, no. I guess she's saying it's not normal for her.
To leave?
For this, at this level. Like, I'm sure that they seen Hurricane K. It was something big.
Okay.
I think that's what Courtney was trying to say.
Okay,
I've never seen Hurricane, and she didn't call it Hurricane K, but I think she's saying is, I've never seen her act like this as something like this.
Yeah, and I think one of Michaela's, she really wants this to work out with Zach, and now she's at the point where, kind of like Johnny, she's beating herself up because it's not working out. We go into the apology. She apologized profusely. I'm sorry. Can we get this together? No, I apologize. What else do you want me to do?
He's like, no. He just cannot do it.
He can't get over it. And I think, as she said, she forget things quickly. That she forget things real quick, or it happened and let's move on. And I can attest to that because that's how I am. Like when things happen, okay, good, we deal with it, we talk about it, okay, let's move on. It's done. We put it to rest, we put it to bed, and he can't let it go. And I'm not saying it's right, wrong, different because everybody have their own pace of forgiving, they have their own pace of letting things move on. But in this process, it's accelerated. You really don't have time to waste. So when you really don't have that time to waste, so let's get this over. Okay, I'm sorry, you forgive me, cool, let's move on, because we only have 8 weeks.
I don't know. I feel like it's just a difference. It's a difference between it takes me a while to get past it to I just can't get past it. And that's where he is right. Yeah, he's on some I just can't get past it. It's one thing is like I gotta take some time. Let me, work through it. But he's like stuck like I can't get past it. I can't.
He needs to like with Frozen, let it go.
Yeah. And so she talks to his friend Jerron, and it's like Jerron's like he just got to get used to how these feelings work and learn what is and isn't okay. Like he says, y'all need to communicate better.
Yeah.
She bites her tongue, and then what comes out, he was like, don't bite your tongue and then explode. Because she says, that's what I might do. I bite my tongue, and Jerome's like, okay, and so then it comes out and explodes. You don't want that. Yeah. And he enlightens her and says, he's been in a toxic relationship before, and he's not trying to go back there. And so with him, just be calm, be different than the chicks that he's dealt with before. Explain yourself, be respectful, talk to him. And she's like, okay, yeah, I get it.
And then she took that advice because when they talked about the refrigerator, she was calm. She did communicate, she did explain herself, and she didn't escalate. And so she took a friend's advice from that night and applied it.
And even before that, when her friends are talking to Zach, they let him know she's talked to us about the fact that she wants to change that situation. She wants it to change. Yeah. It's not that she wants to stay in there, and you got to work that stuff out because, if later on y'all married for a while and kids get involved, and he was like, yeah, like for that, it's say we do get to the point when we stay together and we have kids and we got to make this big decision. Are we going to be able to? Are we going to be able to do it in a good way? Or is it going to be explosions again? It's like, that's a major thing. But he said he learned a lot about her from when he talked to her friends. And, he really enjoyed talking to them. She said the same thing. She learned a lot from Jerron. And, he told me something that I already knew, that you're very genuine. Yeah. And, I understood more where you're coming from. I know that you're caring and you're present. And she said, I took advantage of those behaviors. He was like, how did you take advantage? She said, because I'm not used to somebody actually being present in a relationship. Which, again, explains why she's spazzed. It's like, okay, here we go again. Somebody leaving me. He don't want to be here.
But that's why she had butt buddies.
Right.
Again,
Right.
Because they don't.
She hadn't been in a relationship before, but she had somebody she was
just doing, and so there's no relationship there, and so she doesn't understand how a relationship works or can correlate that because it had just been sex. Yeah,
and she said she understands how she overreacted, and you know, I have to acknowledge how you felt, and that you know you felt hurt. How did I feel? She said, I see you felt hurt and abandoned. Like you said, she's taking it, she's explaining. And you know, she said, even though to me that might not be valid, I understand that's how you feel. Because, you know, I'm in it. I want it to work. I want to know if you're in it.
Yeah.
And you know, he was like, you know, I don't understand how you got there so fast. How did we go from 0 to 100 real quick? On a Tuesday. You know, how did we get there? He was like, that bothered me. That's a red flag to me. That you went pew. But on the flip side, which she didn't say, well, for me, if I was her, I'd be like, well, that bothers me. How you went from 0 to 100? Like, you checked out real fast. Over one thing, like, bruh, give me some time. You don't know me. I don't know you.
Yeah, he goes.
Neither one of us should be checking out already.
They're going 100 miles an hour in different directions.
Yeah.
He's bouncing, she's in the apartment by herself, he's gone, he checked out, they may still communicate by phone. And you guys talked about Chris and Paige. Zac is kind of just as worse. He's not being malicious to Michaela, but the same way that Chris would bounce, Zac is bouncing. Yeah, because at the end he was like, it almost sounded like, which it made me laugh. He's like, I don't feel comfortable. That comfortable almost felt like I don't feel safe. Yeah, like, I don't feel safe to stay here with you. Like, are you staying in an apartment? Yeah, I don't think I will. Are you stable? Like, you may stab me in my sleep type. I mean, he pretty much said that. He was like, you know, is this how we're gonna handle conflict? I don't like it. Nope. You know, he's like, I don't know if it's something you can change. And she was like, but I'm working on it. I see what I did wrong. Like, and I think she's putting 2 and 2 together. Okay, so this is why I had issue with my relationship, and I'm really trying to do different. But he's like, yeah, I don't. Unforgiven. He said, I got anxiety when I pulled up for the housewarming. I really didn't even want to come in. I was like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. It all sounds like I don't feel safe to me. And I'm like, bruh, did you have a girlfriend? Like, was she abusive to you? Pastor Cal, Dr. Viviana, Dr. Pepper, they need to involve themselves in this relationship right here. Because this right here is going to turn badly. And they may not even it's not good. This won't be the last argument. I'm going to tell you that now. Unless somebody getting involved, this is a train wreck waiting to happen. But I think it's more because he's not willing to work it out. That's it right there. He's not willing to work. He's stuck in his ways right now. He's not willing to work it out. She's apologetic and overly apologetic, and now he hasn't even said, you know what, I accept your apology. So that's what some people want to hear. I want to accept your apology. You know, let's go. They just let me down. So let's go to Milra and Gil real quick. We find out later that why they did what I'm about to say they did is because Pastor Cal gave them an assignment. So we see them open up, they're going through each other's budget. How much do you spend on this, what you do on that? And they discuss finances, like, you know, we talk about where our money is going. And he was like, well, what's your grocery budget? She was like, I don't have one. Yeah. He was like, what you mean you don't have a grocery budget? She was like, I just go buy groceries. She was like last month I spent $390 on groceries. He was like, I spend like $150 every 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, she needed a budget. I mean, again, she didn't even know how much she spent on like clothes and things. So. Oh yeah, he said that. She was like, but I don't. She said, but I don't carry any debt. That's the one thing she did say. She said, I don't go shopping every month, but when I do, I get it. And she was like, then I pay the credit card off. Which the discussion we had is, if you can pay the credit card off flat, straight up at the end of the month, why you don't just buy what you're going to buy straight up? Straight up. Why put it on the credit card just to go pay it off? Yeah, and I want to hear that theory about points, because when you mathematically do the points, if you even got 1% back of your credit card, if you spend $100,000, 1% of $100,000 that you may spend on your credit card is $1,000. So are you willing to spend $100,000 just to get $1,000 when you talk about cash back at 1% or these points? Mathematically, it doesn't make sense. But I digress. The money issue with them is going to be, even when their friends come, they talk about the money. To them, is just like Jose and Rachel. It's all about money because everything else is fine. They communicate very well. Her friend even said, you know what? I see why y'all are matched. Y'all matched up good. Y'all have the same temperament. Everything is great, and y'all get along. It is just the spending issue. How she spends, it's a money issue with them.
Yeah. They literally looked at each other's bank account. Let me see what's in your bank account.
Yeah.
Let me see I'll show you what's in mine. And, they both have savings, but, Gil's like, oh, okay, you got, obviously she's got more savings than he does. And he was like, we're in different tax brackets. It is what it is. I'm okay with that. He talks about how all his money goes back to Colombia. We concluded it goes to an account there, but it's also going to his mom there.
Yeah. And that is money he can pull back out anytime he needs to get it. So what it is an account, yeah.
Yeah, but in the conversation where they talk about, okay, so if we need to get a house, can we touch that money? He says no, we can't touch that money. So she said it would take us longer to save to get a house.
She said she didn't want him to touch the saving money. She said she didn't want him to touch it, and again, that's a whole different podcast.
No, she asked him, and he said no.
Okay.
That they couldn't.
Got it. And house.
And I think it was a not that I don't want to go into it, but it's harder to get at that money.
To get at that money.
So, and again, I think probably that's more like support for mom and family.
I'm gonna have to watch that, but I thought she was hearing that.
He was like, no, we can't touch that.
But even for them to get a house,
she said, can we? And he was like, no.
Even for them to get a house, they put their stuff together, money together. They should be able to qualify, and probably may have 20% down to get, so don't have any PMI or whatever the case may be, to get a house that they can afford. Just buy a house you can afford.
Yeah, but that conversation, I'm sure with some editing, but I still, Gil is such smooth sailing. That conversation went really well, you know, considering. So then we see another part where they come in the house after the meetup with the guys, and they kind of like want to spill the tea.
Gossiping Gil. I'm gonna call it gossiping Gil.
Gil likes spilling that tea, man. I'm trying to tell you. But the first thing is she was like, "Yo, Hype was here. He tried to come in the room, but I stopped him." And he was like, well, Hype wasn't coming there anyway. But she was like, but he did slobber. He got slobber on the floor. He got it on me. It's like, okay, whatever. We'll get it. But they talk about the meetup. And she says, you know how girls usually do. We didn't get into that much detail. We did talk. But Gil was like, well, let me tell you what Johnny said. Johnny is like in a quandary. He going through it, And it was like, we see Bao, and maybe it is that Bao acts different behind closed doors than what we've seen. Maybe that's part of it. Because Johnny was really having an issue. He shares. And then Mirla's like, okay, yeah. She really didn't get into too much. Gil really did spill a lot of the tea. But then the next thing we see is that Gil's like, I want you to meet my mom on FaceTime. She wasn't able to be at the wedding. We find out that she did send a message. So he got to hear her voice at the wedding. And, you could see he got kind of emotional about it. She was very comforting him from the clip we saw at the wedding. But they FaceTime his mom, Majesty.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like Majesty. But anyway, he introduces her to Mirla. And we know from before, her mother is basically Spanish speaking. Obviously his mother is. So the whole conversation's in Spanish. And I think that's good that she can speak Spanish, because she really could talk to his mom. And she was like, oh, she's pretty. She seems nice. Like, they have a really good conversation. And Gil's thing is, my mom is so important to me that it's important that Mirla get along with her and like her and has a relationship. And that whole conversation, it really did good for him, because he was like, oh, good.
But it's like most men. Most men want relationships, want the person they're with to have a relationship with their mother. Right? I have a good relationship with your mother.
What? But this is the other way.
I know.
He's saying he wants. So yeah, Mirla. He's so silly. He talks to. I like his mother. We get along.
Yes.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Don't stop. Go ahead.
Like he enjoyed the conversation with the mom was great. She enjoyed they're working things out, and they're in good relationship with each other, and so they're going to is important, and you want that to be able to be with your spouse to have a good relationship with their family.
Oh, I
and
know
that's where that, and so they end up meeting. Go ahead.
Real quick, he tells his mom that she's bougie.
Yeah, that she's bougie.
And I don't know what word he uses. It's a Spanish word for bougie. And the mom kind of chuckled. She was like, why would you say that? And when they got off the phone, he was like, you're extra. She was like, what does extra mean? He was like too much, like over the top. She was like, extra and what? He was like, everything.
Everything.
You're extra at everything.
But that's a little joke between them. They like that. They that little joke and banter between those two. So as we move on, and I don't want to keep you guys too long.
Yeah. They go to the housewarming. She says she's an introvert, so she's not really all that excited for guests to come over. She said, it's a lot for me. But her friend Dion comes, and his friends, Kimberly and Willie. And so she's looking for advice from their friends who are married or have been married and are divorced. It's like, I want advice so I can learn from the mistakes that you made and to help them out. And so Kimberly's like, have there been any fights? And they're like, no. And Kimberly's like, well, I figured as much. I figured y'all wouldn't have any fights because I know Gil. And you seem like you're kind of cut from the same cloth as Gil. So I wouldn't expect y'all to have any fights or anything because y'all are very similar. And, there's I can see it's like nothing for y'all not to like about each other. And Gil says, yeah, it hasn't been any yet. So, that's how it's been as we be getting along. Her friend Adrian is also there. And they talk about her closet. They joke about he makes a joke about how small her closet is organized and how she's got all these name brand things in there or whatever. And that's when she talks about, I like, my husband likes to poke fun at me and joke on me, but it's fine, I take it in stride or whatever. His friend Willie is there, and he talks about how it's been. She says it's been fine, it's been normal and natural. And Gil says, he says it's a lot he doesn't know, but he knows enough to say he already trusts her. He's cool with her, but they do acknowledge there's a lot they have to get to know about each other. Willie says, they got a beautiful flow. He's liking how they're vibing, and how Gil is very trusting, and he just hopes his friend's trust doesn't get taken advantage of. That's his main thing. And they share with the friends about their assignment with Pastor Cal. And the thing about them talking is she was adamant about not wanting to change her lifestyle. And that was the only thing that bugged him. He doesn't have a problem with her lifestyle. He had a problem with the fact that she was adamant that she's not going to change it.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, we have this discussion all the time. Is she supposed to change her lifestyle? And is she supposed to
it should be a little bit of compromise.
But it shouldn't be a downgrade?
No.
I think it should be, okay, let's see where we can manage it, where it equals both of us, but it shouldn't be a downgrade. Let's see how we can manage your lifestyle and my lifestyle together.
Yeah. And on the side, the producer said, ask Mirla, would you change? She was like, no, absolutely not. Not even. So anyway, Willie talks. He asks, has there been any kissing? I know you gave him your cheek before. Yeah. They're like, no, it hasn't been any kissing. And Gil says, we had this conversation. She said, if there's no kissing, she's fine with no kissing the whole 8 weeks. And he was like, well then, I'll have to
I gave it to her.
Give a divorce because
I
can't do it like that. And he was like, I think she used to just cookie cutter just the way I do it. And this process, you're gonna have to get outside that cookie cutter. You're gonna have to do something different. So they should really talk about that. And all in all, the friends think, they're good, they're matched. There's some things they have to, work on when it comes to the intimacy thing. But
the intimacy thing and the finance, the intimacy thing is a big thing. I think they will get there with the kissing. I think the bigger thing is the finances, and I think by them opening their bank accounts up and showing each other what they have, they're moving in the right direction. Now with them, when I get a financial planner, because she wants a house, so what you need, what will happen sometimes in relationships, we're not qualified to do certain things, and there's some people who are qualified to do it. Get them help. It's just like a financial therapist again. I'll mention that again. Get a planner to help you reach your goals. She wants a house, right? So let's not do it in your own way. Do it in a way that here's a professional. This is what they do. How can we get a house in this time frame? Let's set up, and what do we need to do, and work the plan. It's like it's no different from having a personal trainer. No different from having a trainer, somebody who train you on your job or whatever case may be. They set a plan up for you, and we work this way. And I think that's what will help them out. If they had somebody else involved to help them have a plan and show how they can live a good lifestyle. Because Gil said it on Unfiltered. He's not nothing wrong with a lavish lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with him. He'll move in that. But he's
good with the basic.
But he's good with the basic. But he'll live a lavish lifestyle. So he's good with the basic, but he'll live that lifestyle if that's what it means to continue to stay married. So
yeah. All right. And so that's the big thing. Milra talks to Willie about being money driven, and Gil talks to her friend Dion about money's not a thing, but also it's the affection. Have you seen her being affectionate? And Dion's like, I've known her for 18 years. She's just not a PDA type person.
Nope, she takes it slow.
So that's gonna be a problem. But anyway, Val and Johnny. Whew, that's a mess.
It is a mess. It's a big mess with them. It's a big mess with them. The mess that Johnny and Val have is, again, Johnny's not feeling her. He's not. He likes her she's attractive. Her personality, the childish behavior, he can do without. Again, we basically comes down to he's beating himself up because he has this checklist of what marriage should be like. This checklist of how things should be, and there's some boxes that Val's not checking.
And so we see Val talk to her friend, who?
H-U-Y.
Oh, hi. H-U-Y. And she says, you know, when she saw Johnny at the altar, it was like, okay, it's not a stranger. And it was all this that I already knew about him. And that went through her head. You know, it was like she went through, oh, I'm an introvert. He's an extrovert. I'm closed. He's open. All that, you know, she's finding out that it made it a little bit easier being that she knew him, but not so much. Yes. Because now when they get into the thick of it, when they're getting into it, it's like, oh man, these are some differences. But she said she found out that he's a little more dismissive. Yeah. And her friend puts in perspective and says, you know, it might take him a while to be less selfish because he hasn't been with anybody in 8 years. You know, he's had all these 100 first dates. So, you know, he's used to being nitpicky. So it's going to take him a while to get out of that.
But he's nitpicking everything. I mean, again, there's daddy issues. There are relationship issues. They're added this accelerated time, added the TV show, the cameras, and what production makes them do, and looking at other people's marriages. He's like, I can't take it. He's unraveling before our eyes because there's so much pressure on him. His dad didn't accepting it, so now he's still having to deal with this, and he's seeing things that he does not like. And
Val lets her friend know I can see him withdrawing. Like it makes me feel like, you know, he's not committed. And her friend was like, it doesn't mean he's not committed. It just means, you know, he's going through it. Yeah. And so she said she's still optimistic and she's not giving up. And she said, if anything, when the rubber meets the road, if it's like not being together, she said he would probably be the one to say no, because I'm trying my best. I want him to stay in there. They meet up after the guys get together, and he says, you know, he says this on the side, I'm looking for that deeper connection like the other guys. He tells her about how, you know, when they hung out, it's like it hit him that, you know, I've been confused. Maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't ready to get married. I'm not ready to be in a relationship. Because, you know, she's all in, but he's focusing on the negative. It's like, you know, we got to get out of this space. And what if I didn't get into this for the right reasons? You know, what if I wasn't ready? And she said, you know, she questions if, you know, is this a reality? You know, she wants to talk about it. And he was like, well, I don't want to talk about it. Because they actually had this conversation as they're going to bed. And he was like, let's just sleep on it. And, we'll talk about it later. And Bal's the type of person where you started this conversation. And so now it's going to be stuck in. No, I'm not going to sleep on it.
Yeah.
It's going to be swirling around in my head all night.
I'm not going to be able to get my sleep.
I'm not going to be able to get sleep. And, she's just really like, I need to know where your head is at. Like, I see you not. She want
to know, and this is the thing with it. I mean, it boils down to she wants to know where you at, so I know how to play the game. How do I operate in this with you? Do I walk on eggshells, or do I walk straight forward and we can talk like this? Like, can we deal with this as adults? Nobody wants to live in a house where they got to walk on eggshells. Nobody want to be in a relationship with a person where they got to walk on eggshells. Nobody want to be with a person who's distant all the time. They want you to be present, not just physically present, but mentally present as well. And that's why she want to let's deal with it again biblically. Let's not go. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. All right, let's handle this so we can wake up in the morning. Could you imagine? And this is not to try to get deep. If you have an argument with your spouse, y'all not getting along, and they don't wake up the next morning, how mentally impactful that will be on your life because you didn't have any closure. You couldn't fix anything. You couldn't tell them I love you anymore. You couldn't work with the issue knowing that your spouse, you'll never see them again because you dealt with issues. Try to deal with the issues as quick as possible, and that's what she was trying to do. And that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah, that's what she wants to do, and he's
not having it. So
man, his head's not in the game. But anyway, they had the housewarming. He's excited about hanging out with the friends. He comes in with a lot of decorations. He's really in on this thing. But wanting to get it together and see about this housewarming. And so she says, she's stressed out because she's not sure how he feels about the marriage. And they have a lot of talking to do. And so she can't even really settle with the housewarming because she knows we got to have this conversation later. But his cousin Brian and his wife Serena come by. And then her friends Scott and Ann. And they gave them a sex book, which is hilarious because Johnny's like, wow, okay. Yeah. Did you really give this to us? But she talks on the side to the ladies. She said she felt like it was easier because she knew him. They're having deep convos, but it's also leading to deep disagreements. And it's kind of making her feel uncomfortable. And she needs him to be at 100%. She needs him to be all the way in. He talks to the guys. It's like, okay, they're married, but he feels like he's treating it like a new relationship. And he's only in it 35%. Why are you only in it 35%? You need more intimacy before, falling into that greater space. Scott says, she has a lot of love to give and that Johnny just has to unlock it. Yeah. You got to unlock it and come out with it. And he said he's committed to seeing it through and he wants to stay together, but Johnny is going through it.
He is, and the book was How to Please Your Wife. Pleasure Your Wife is a book where there's papaya on there or mango or whatever the case may be in the shape of a vagina.
Yeah, he said I've never eaten papaya.
I never eaten papaya. Yeah, I never eaten papaya. So you read into that as much as you want to read into it.
A mess. But he said he felt good after the housewarming. We made it to 2 weeks. I feel good. She said, I went into it optimistic, but I felt this cloud over us, and I was overwhelmed because it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, and they just got to get it together. I mean, he said 35%, and she said she felt like he was in at 90%. So they're really off because she felt like he's 90%, he's like 35, and he's not giving her his best. And right now, Bao and Johnny, I was rooting for them, but the way things shape now, they need counseling bad, and I don't think they're going to make it.
I don't know. But she said, she felt overwhelmed, but she appreciated that he stepped up and, got the housewarming done. They got it all together. And even though there may still be some lingering emotions, can we put that to the side and focus on what need to be done? That's what they did for the housewarming. And so she feels like they might be able to make it, but it's not looking good.
It's not looking good for Bao and Johnny.
I'm so disappointed. My two favorite couples, they're disintegrating right before my eyes.
Zac and Michaela disintegrating. Bao and Johnny is done. And it's Johnny. Pastor Cal told him last week, it's you. You have to fix you. And he's in his own head right now. And he can't get out of his head because it's not what he's used to or not what he wants. It is him. And so it is all him. And he needs to fix that now. If not, he won't have a marriage. He won't have a relationship. And same thing with Zac. It was Michaela last week. It is Zac now,
Mm-hmm.
and Zac need to get out of his own way in order for the relationship to work.
Absolutely.
Usually it's been the women, but right now the men are the mess.
Yeah.
The men are the mess in this season right now. Man, hey, give us your thoughts. What do you think about Zac? What do you think about Johnny? Can they get out of their own way and help and try to foster a good relationship with their spouses? Let us know what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Thank you for joining us in the chat box. Y'all rock as usual. We appreciate you. Make sure you check out our podcast, Matrimony Thoughts, which we drop a new episode each and every week. Last week we talked about marriages and allowances. We're gonna have a great topic for you this week as well. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much, and we'll catch you down the road.
Bye.
Bye.